Hello there, friends. Welcome to another Peace and Pines video. Today, we are going to be processing some driftwood. I have had so many questions on my TikTok and on my Instagram on how I process my driftwood for my Suncatchers. Now, you don't have to turn this lovely piece of driftwood that you will be processing into a Suncatcher. This is also just a great way to preserve them and take care of them and bring out a lot of the beautiful wood grain and color in the wood that you wouldn't normally be able to see when it is dry and crusty. Before we get started, there's a few things that I want to mention, like where to get your driftwood and materials. For starters, please make sure that wherever you are getting your driftwood, you are allowed to take it. Please check with your state and local laws before you are going and taking any driftwood, any rocks, anything like that from any lake, any state park, because there is a lot of conservation to protect critical habitats and local wildlife in the area, and sometimes taking driftwood and things can be illegal, and I don't want you to get in trouble, you don't want to get in trouble, so let's just make sure that we educate ourselves before going out and taking from nature. So you have your driftwood now, and it's time to process. Here are the materials you will be needing to get started. So driftwood is number one. Number two is sandpaper. Our second step of this whole process will be using sandpaper. Any grit of sandpaper I'm sure would work fine. I would recommend doing it by hand and not using a sander. The sander might be a little too rough on the driftwood and might wear away more of it than you would like to. With sandpaper, I would recommend a face mask, a respirator, and also doing it in a ventilated area and not inside your house in a basement with all the windows and doors closed. That's very important. And then for the linseed oil, before we get talking about linseed oil, because linseed oil is flammable, you definitely also want to have something to put all of your rags or paper towels into. I like to use like a mason jar or some kind of glass jar halfway full with water so I can put the rags or the paper towels in it. And for the linseed oil, just get whatever linseed oil you feel called to use. I don't use anything special. I just get this one from Walmart, but I would not recommend following the directions on how to apply the linseed oil because it does say to pour the linseed oil out into a container and dunk your driftwood. You don't want to do that. That would be very wasteful. It would use a lot of linseed oil, and I don't think the driftwood would ever dry. But if that works for you, that works for you. I should have mentioned this before. I would also recommend having plastic gloves because then you don't touch all the oilies. Now that we have now that we have our materials, we have our driftwood, I think it is time to get started. So let's head outside. Hi, hello. So we're outside now. I selected two separate pieces here. I'm probably only going to apply the linseed oil and sand one of them because it is going to rain. And although I have a lovely little umbrella here, I don't really think it's going to save us. And here's our beautiful piece of wood. And let's just get started. I do want to mention, this is something I didn't mention before, you don't have to sand your driftwood if you don't want to. This just makes it so there's not all these little frayed pieces here, and it just looks a little bit more uniform, and then the linseed oil will go on more evenly. It's already looking much better. So now I'm going to fold my sandpaper in half, and then we're going to do the crevices. You can see all of this stuff on the table. That is what you don't want to be breathing in. I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe off any of that dust. It'll come off when we apply the linseed oil, but just to get any excess off is also good to do. Okay, So here is our sanded piece, ready to have the linseed oil applied to it. And I'm going to try to do that as fast as possible because it does look like rain. This would be a good time to mention, if you want to check out my website to see any of my finished Suncatchers, absolutely go do so. There are so many left with beautiful pieces of driftwood, and I will be making more this summer. I kind of took a break from making them in the winter because I just have too many Suncatchers, but we're getting back into it. Also, if you would please consider liking the video and subscribing if you are enjoying so far and would like to see more tutorials from me. I probably should not have worn my favorite sweatpants for this, but we're just going to be extra careful. Go with about that much linseed oil and kind of just let it soak into the paper towel so it can get more evenly applied. Look at that, you guys. Look at the difference. Look at that color. Now, I probably should have mentioned that this will take anywhere from 24 hours to like a week to dry. I usually give it a full week. The color is crazy on this. Now you think my dad being a like tree expert that I would know what kind of wood this is, but I just don't. Okay, so as you can see, gloves are a must. And then you're going to take some more paper towel and we're going to rub all of the excess off. This will help it dry faster and also make it less flammable. It's going to be little particles of paper towel on it. I don't know if you can see, but it's easy to get off. Now we can take our gloves off. And now we're going to head inside so I can show you what a finished dried piece of driftwood looks like. So here is one of my finished Suncatchers, but I think that this is a really great way to use driftwood, a really great way to process the driftwood and make beautiful pieces of art with it. I think that concludes our whole processing video. I also have a how-to soldering for beginners coming out really soon. I am still a beginner when it comes to soldering, but I really enjoy it and have been meaning to get back into it. So if that's something that you would be interested in, definitely hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell right next to it so you can be notified when I upload the video. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.